How's it going, everybody? It is Dennis, and we're back with another video talking about QDTE. Yes, we're talking about QDTE, and the reason we're talking about it is because I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on QDTE. A lot of people are not paying attention to Roundhill's ETF QDTE, and they're not paying attention to how it's been distributing, how it's been performing, and why this fund is creeping up to being one of the good or most, or not most, but the best fund there is, kind of, in my opinion. That is because it is paying consistently, and a lot of people are not noticing it. If you take a look at stockanalysis.com, not sponsored, and we take a look at dividends, we could see they've been consistently paying for almost, what is this, 5 weeks, going on to almost 6 weeks. Well, we've hit the 20-cent range 6 weeks ago, but we've hit 20 cents, 24 cents, 22 cents, 23, 23, 23. They've been paying consistently at the 22 to 23 cent mark, hitting 24 on June 26th, and they've been doing that consistently since towards the middle of June. Right? Not a lot of people are talking about this. Everybody's talking about ULTY. Everybody's talking about MSTY. The MSTY has died down a little bit. Everybody's talking about ULTY now, right? ULTY, ULTY, ULTY. And yes, ULTY has been giving good yields, but like I mentioned before in the previous video, I feel like ULTY is only going up because of the run that we're having, and the performance we see from ULTY is only because of the run we're having. Of course, I hope I'm proven wrong. I hope that they, continue to perform well and they continue to pay consistently. But in my opinion, I feel like QDTE is the better run. Of course, we could see that before with QDTE, we've had moments where we had higher dividends of 23, 21, 30 cents, then down to the 17s, then 21s again, then 14s, right? So there is the volatility, there is differences in distributions from week to week when it comes to QDTE, but they have been performing quite well recently. As you can see, for the past 6 weeks, they've been above the 20-cent mark, and for the past 5 weeks, they've been paying around the 24 to 23 cent mark, 24, 22, 23, 23, 23, right? If we take a look at the graphs, right, we take a look at the 1 year QDTE, or year to date, QDT is up 7.57, S&P 7.78, YMAX, of course, is 12.87, and ULTY, of course, is 15.3, right? But then you look at something similar from YieldMax, which is QDTY, which is 1.37, but it's been around a lot of shorter time. So we take a look at the 6 month. Take a look at the 6 month. QDTY is 1.37, ULTY is 11.69, the YMAX 10.55, S&P 4.95, and QDT is in line with S&P at 4.94. You take a look at the 1 year. QDT 18.78%, while the S&P is 14.8. YMAX beats at 25, ULTY beats at 25, and QDTY beats at 1.48. But my story is in the dividends. My opinion is in the dividends, because if you're someone who is using these funds to take out income, if you're using these funds for funding your lifestyle, funding your bills, funding anything that you have to pay on a daily, or maybe funding any investment journey you're looking for, QDTE has been consistent. YMAX varies with their dividends. If we take a look at YMAX, we could go ahead and type that in right here. Take a look at YMAX dividends. We can see they vary a lot, right? We go from 18 cents to 14 to 15 to 15, 13 to 10, up back to 18, then to 16, right? Say you need to pay for something every single week. This 10 cents is going to ruin it. It's not consistent, right? And we saw that also with QDT. Of course, we saw the inconsistency with QDT, but recently they've been quite consistent for the past 5 to 6 weeks, right? Maybe there's been a change in the fund. We don't know. But as what I've seen currently with QDT, and hopefully he keeps it up, they've been consistent, right? So we could see, right, 21, 17, 18, right? It bounces around a lot with YMAX. Overall, the payment is higher and the return is higher overall, but it is not as consistent if you're taking this out for income, right? We take a look at ULTY, right? Take a look at ULTY. Yes, they've been consistent for a while, right? Yes, they've been trending upwards, especially after the tariff news, right? They've been around the 10 to 8 cent mark and recently been staying at the 10 cent mark. Like I mentioned before, could this be because of the tariffs and because of the trend upwards afterwards? Maybe. Could it be because of their prospectus change? Maybe, right? We don't know. We don't know until we get more data. But ULTY, yes, you could say is a good one for consistent dividends, especially if they're able to consistently keep their value and consistently pay the same dividend. Then yes, this is good for income and taking it out and paying any bills you need to have, because you know that every single week you'll get around 8 or not even 8, we'll say 9 to 10 cents on your distribution, right? 9 to 10 cents per share, right? So you could say there is some consistency in that. If we take a look at QDTY, we can take a look at QDTY because we're looking at that one from Yield Max. Once again, we could see that there is some inconsistency with QDTY. We have 23, 25, 23, 11, 16, 19, 19, 19, 17, right? So we had 4 weeks of consistent, but then we had 11 to 16, right? We had times where we went from 32 to 23, right? And then back up to 25, then 11, right? There's that inconsistency, which of course, like mentioned before, it could have been because of tariffs, right? We had the 20s and the 30s with QDTY, and then it dropped down due to post tariffs times. But like mentioned before, currently what I'm seeing is that QDTE is being consistent and it's consistently returning. And we can also take a look at this beautiful chart that I put together. No, I'm not going to go through all of the chart like I did in the previous video for what was it? I think for AMZ. For AMZ, I went through the whole chart. I'm not gonna waste your guys' time with that. But we did just take a browse through really quick. We can see that I've been purchasing into QDTE since what's it called, May 29, 2024, and we've lost value. Yes, we can see that most of this is red for the time that we've been invested. Of course, recently, since March 28th, 2025, and this is recent data, and this is updated data, we're in the green. So since March 28th, 2025, everything post that is green, except the recent purchase on the 28th. If we take a look at total return, we can see total return is green, right? Dividends subtracted by the share value loss, we're in a green. Everything is green for QDTE when it comes to share dividends subtracted by share value loss. Of course, the only thing that's not green is this recent purchase on the 28th. Our returns are also very consistent. We can see that we have returns mostly in the double digits for every single share. The only one that we don't have in the double digits is this little area over here. And of course, this is getting closer to recent purchases, but let's see, what time frame is this right here? What's the time frame for this? This is from September 2024 to around, what is that? February 2025. We have single digits and almost not even the 0.67% for one of them. And then after that, we went back up to double digits and we're trending back upwards, right? You can see this trend back upwards into high double digits and then back down to lower double digit or low single digits, right? So you can see that QDTE has been performing quite well for myself personally for the time I've been invested, right? I have $13,071.18 roughly invested in cash. The value lost from so far has been negative $1,703.67. Total dividends received is $3,068.95 from QDTE. And of course, our profit subtracted by value loss is $1,365.28 or 10.44%. And our average return is 10.39%, but this is a little skewed because this is taking an average rather than actually doing a total percent return. So if we take a look, compare that to the chart where the year is 18.78, we can see that I personally, my portfolio has underperformed. Could I be wrong with some of my calculations? Maybe. But I did go through every single purchase. I went through every single reinvestment and calculated everything from previous dividends and did all of that. You could see over here on the right, I have all the dividend distributions put through, so I could go ahead and use all the data from that. I also have live data for share price. I also have my average cost. So most of this should be accurate. 99% sure it's accurate. So 10.44% return in a little over a year holding QDT, compared to, of course, 18.78% of what is being estimated by Alpha, Seeking Alpha. And of course, Seeking Alpha that's based on just purchasing in the beginning of the year or beginning of that year time frame, and then reinvesting everything that you get back into it, and then you would get that 18% return, right? I didn't do that. Of course, there was times where I was not reinvesting, like recently. So you can see these are all cash purchases because I was reinvesting only 50% of my dividends that I was earning, starting in, of course, in April, end of April. I was only reinvesting 50% of the dividends I earn. And of course, also I had purchases where I bought at highs. There's purchases where I bought at lows. So of course it could be inconsistent because I was constantly putting money in over time, and therefore I did not just make a dramatic or a straight purchase in the beginning with a large amount. Therefore, my return is skewed to the lower side because, of course, I was investing over time. I was dollar cost averaging into QDTE. So kind of makes sense of why that return was 10.44%. But most importantly, the whole reason for this video is to talk about how it's been consistent and how a lot of people are sleeping on QDTE. Like I said, people are talking about ULTY, people are talking about MSTY, people are going crazy over HOOY or HOOY, right? Palantir, the Palantir ETF from Yield Bank's Plady, right? Everybody's going crazy over those funds. And I get it, it's high yield, it's high returns, but listen, 41.65% average return from QDTE is pretty damn good. And not only that, but it's consistent. I know I'm going to get around the 20 to 23 cent mark. Yes, there's times where it's 14 cents, but besides that, we're staying consistent at 20, 20, 24, 22, 23, especially recently. Did we have lows? Of course we had lows. You know, I think every single fund had lows, especially after the April drama with the tariffs. It was a little bit hard for time for them to all to recover. But as you can see, look at this. We go back down, compare this to all the other funds. Look at this in February. 23, 25, 24, 25, 23, 27, 23, 25. Right? We're getting those consistent 20-cent dividends. You go even farther back, we could see 20, 26, 25, 25, 22, 23. Right? You know you're going to get around the 20 to 25 cent mark with QDTE. That is the type of fund you want if you're using this income to pay for things. You're paying for bills and you need your income to be consistent. You get a fund like QDTE, right? Because it's consistent. You know you're going to get the dividend you're going to get. Yes, there could be a week where it's a little lower or a little higher. Nobody minds a little higher, getting a little extra income for one of the weeks, but a little lower, right? It happens with all the funds, but it's a lot more consistent with QDTE. QDTE's dividends are consistent. Their value stays quite stable. It's of course it has, as we can see, it's lost value over time, right? On the 1 year, it's down negative 17.17%. On the max, it's down negative 23.24%, right? We started off, I think the fund started around $50 when it launched. I'm pretty sure either 45 or 50. I don't know if Stock Analysis is up to date on that or if they show accurate data on that, but we could see that it's lost value. In the 1 year, it's lost negative 17.17 value. But as you can see, since the April tariff drama, we've been trending back upwards. We went all the way to the lows of 29.60. Now we're up to 35.33, right? So if we take a look at the year date, we're still down. We take a look at the month, we're down, right? 0.49. If we had a 3-month chart, you would see that we're up. And we can actually do that if we take a look right here on the 1 month. We could see that total return, QDTE, is 2.94%. Compared to S&P is 2.28, so we're outpacing the S&P. Of course, under YMAX, under ULTY, and actually under QDTY recently. But if we expand the picture, we could see that we are outpacing QDTY. But of course, QDTY did have a little bit of a late start to the year to the 6-month chart, just a month later of a start. So of course, QDTY could be a little bit closer to QDTE if we give it more time to run. But yeah, that's the reason for this video. That's the reason for talking about QDTE, because I believe that if you are someone who's looking for consistent income, like I said, if you're paying bills, if you're just enjoying life, or you need consistent income for maybe an option strategy, or you need consistent income for consistent dollar cost averaging into the market because you're using QDTE as a way to fund money into the S&P, into VOO, into SPYI, right? You need that consistent income to funnel into other positions and also funnel back into itself. QDTE is one of those funds that could do that for you, right? We could see that it has consistent dividends. It has paying around 20 to 25 cents, right, in that range. We could see even back in 2024, it was doing the same. So it's been consistently doing those type of dividends. And of course, it will have the lows as well as its highs, right? So you get a high dividend. You can save from that some of that income for a later week if need be. But anyways, just a quick video, guys, talking about QDTE, showing you guys the little, of course, the little sheets I've been creating for most of the funds, as you can see, for MAGY, for AMZY, and QDTE. I'm going to be adding more and more spreadsheets for all these funds, so I could accurately track all the funds that I could track, right? So anything that I have up-to-date data on and correct data on, I will be tracking and looking over to better provide you guys information on how these funds have been performing for myself personally, and how I'm continuing to purchase more shares, what distributions I'm getting, and what my position and opinion is on all these funds I have in my portfolio. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you guys, think about QDT. If you guys are in ULTY, YMAX, or any of these other funds that are popping off and getting a lot of support online, maybe you guys think about maybe diversifying all those high dividends you guys are getting from MSTY and ULTY and HOOY, taking those dividends and diversifying into something a little bit more steady, a little bit less distribution, but at least you're getting that steady pace of dividends at 20 to 25 cent range. Not financial advice, of course, but just my own opinion. If you're someone like me, using the income for life or expenses, or using income for option strategies, or expanding or diversifying your portfolio, QDT is one of the funds that I actually depend on, and it allows me to know I'll be getting a consistent income every single week and distributing that income into other funds or into anything I have to pay outside in the life, in the world. So anyway, see you guys next week for next week's video. Just a quick video talking about QDT and why I think this fund has been a sleeper and under everybody's radar for being a consistent, well-paying dividend ETF from Roundhill. See ya.